So welcome to our yin practice this evening. We're going to be focusing on the heart space. So some chest openers, some rounding of the spine, and really bringing an awareness to that space in the body where the heart center resides. So finding a comfortable shape and letting the body start to just settle down and rest. Feeling all those parts of your body that are resting on the floor. Just imagine them becoming really heavy. With each breath out of the body, can you imagine expelling not just the air, but also any stresses or tension that you're feeling right now? Our yin practice is a wonderful opportunity to give the body permission to slow down and bring a sense of spaciousness so that the body can become aware of what's happening inside, noticing anything that needs some love and attention. So when you're ready, just bring your palms over your heart center, so one palm resting on top of the other. And I wanted to share with you just a little poem from Becca Lee, and the poem is called Delicate, and I thought it just suited our practice this evening. Break often, my dear, for it is a gift to remain fragile and vulnerable in this sometimes harsh but forever beautiful life. So take a moment to set your intention for your practice. Maybe it is to tap into your vulnerability. I know a lot of us are feeling that right now. And then when you're ready, we'll seal our intentions with an Om. So take a breath in through the nose. So really slowly, really mindfully, just hugging the knees in towards the chest, and give yourself a cuddle, just drawing the knees in close. Noticing how this feels in your body. Noticing how your lower back feels. How the hamstrings feel. Just get an overall sense of where the physical body is at. And then when you're ready, just rolling over to the side. If you have a pillow nearby, just support your head with a pillow, or maybe just your bottom arm. So just laying on your side for about 5 or so breaths. And noticing how it feels to lay here. so often we have this armor around our bodies. You know, we put it on maybe when we get up in the morning, maybe when we open the front door out into the world. We have the shield around us to protect us. And that is necessary from time to time. But what our yin practice hopefully encourages us to do, and these words from Becca Lee, is to tap into our vulnerability from time to time. You know, if we spend too much time with our armor on, it gets really difficult to take it off, and then as a result we sort of prevent ourselves from receiving love, from feeling joy. We're too busy being those sort of armored characters. So when you're ready, press into your top hand and slowly come to sit. And then take your blanket or your towel and just fold it so that there's a little bit of height, but not too much. If you don't have a blanket or a towel, then just roll up the edge of your mat and just make a little sort of mound here. And then when you're ready, place your blanket just about a third of the way from the top of the mat. And then come to lay so that your arms are over the blanket. So depending on your bone structure where your scapula lay, you want to have the blanket sort of around where your shoulder blades are, maybe a little lower, so that when you bring your arms out to the side, your armpits are over the blanket or the towel, whatever you have underneath. And what we're looking for here, it's really subtle sense of sort of uplifting around the chest. You don't want it too high because that might be uncomfortable. And then just let your arms rest out wide. And with your legs, you can have your knees bent, you can let your legs flop out along the mat. Whatever feels comfortable, especially in your lower back. And if your lower back feels a little under pressure here, then simply bend your knees and bring your feet onto the mat. And then take a breath in through the nose, and as you sigh out, let the whole torso just sort of melt down into the earth. And just do that again, and you might notice that maybe it's a little different breathing here because you have this blanket underneath the rib cage. Maybe you can't take as full a breath as you would normally. So just notice the difference this blanket underneath the shoulder blades makes in terms of the breath. And we're not trying to breathe more, we're not trying to change the breath, we're just letting the breath and the rib cage just find its rhythm, given that it has this blanket underneath the body. And just making sure that, you know, it feels spacious between the ears and the shoulders. Letting the fingers relax even more. Maybe another sigh out. Just allowing that stillness to sort of facilitate a seeping out of any tension. So the more still we become, the more stress and tension can leave the body. the more we give ourselves permission to relax, the more still we can become. So notice if there's any tension in the jaw. Maybe open and close the mouth a few times, move the jaw left and right. Just release any tension there. And just let the bottom row of teeth drop away from the top row. Creating this sense of spaciousness and ease in the body. Letting the belly muscles relax and soften. Just creating this environment of welcoming spaciousness into the body. So just about 10-15 more breaths here. Just letting the body be at ease. As if all of your worries, all of your cares are just sort of dripping out the back of the body and down into the earth. Like you're emptying out. This is one of the wonderful things about our yin practice. When we allow this emptying out, we create space for more of what we need. So it's like this exchange. You become still. You give the body permission to empty out. And then afterwards you feel renewed and refreshed and ready to face the world again. Just stay as you are, but deepen your breath. And then really slowly, we're going to roll onto our left side. So just rolling onto the left. Just press into your left arm, lift the body away from the mat and just remove the blanket. And then place the blanket underneath your left ear. Or if you happen to have a block nearby, you can use that. But what we want here is the head to be supported and then that left arm out to the left. And just rest your right arm on your hip or your thigh, just letting the shoulder, the right shoulder, be at ease here. You can bend your knees up towards the chest just so you feel stable here in this position. And then when you're ready, just reaching that right arm out so that the right palm sits on the left. Keep the right waist facing the ceiling. So as we start to move this right arm, we don't want to move the torso. We want to keep the torso sort of facing to the left. It's just the arm on the right side that's going to be doing the moving here. So when you're ready, just start to reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Keep the torso facing left. And then bring that right arm down by your side, moving nice and slowly, and keep your awareness in your shoulder socket. And then bring that right arm
out in front of you towards that left hand, and then reach the right arm overhead. So what we're doing is just making big circles with this right arm, and as you start to bring the right arm behind you, try not to turn the body, keep the body facing forward, and just allow that right arm to go as far behind as feels okay in the shoulder socket. Moving nice and slowly so that you can really feel every movement in the shoulder socket. And as you bring the arm around and overhead, just moving really slowly and noticing how the shoulder feels. So does it feel a little sticky? Does it get a little stuck? How does it feel as you just rotate this arm around? And just do it 2 more times, moving really slowly. Just moving the arm in this big, wide, circular motion. Keeping the torso facing to the left, so that you're extending the arm behind you as far as it can go, rather than turning the torso. So just making this your last circle around. And then when the right hand comes above the left, reach that right arm back up towards the ceiling and just let the right arm dangle behind you. So again, try not to turn the torso, keep the body facing left, and just let that right arm dangle behind. So it's going to feel like quite a stress here on the shoulder. So as long as that feels okay, you don't feel like you're going to injure yourself here, just keep it dangling there. And we know that our yin practice, we put stress on the joints, safely of course, to make them stronger. So what we're looking for here again is that sense of stress in the shoulder joint and sort of a stretch in the skin and the armpit, the inner arm. And just let your arm relax, your fingers relax, keeping the torso turned towards the left. I'm just going to be here for about 15 or so more breaths. And remember, with any of the poses tonight, if you're done, just come out when you're done. Don't stay in as long as I suggest, especially if you're really struggling to stay in the pose. But otherwise, just letting that right arm get really heavy. Sort of opening up the flow of chi through the heart meridian, which runs from the side of the chest, sort of through the armpit and down the inside of that arm to the thumb. And then take a breath in through the nose and a sigh out the mouth. And then really, really slowly, there's no rush, start to bring that right arm all the way down and just rest it on your right hip. Just letting the shoulder socket, the humerus, the arm bone, just sort of reacquaint themselves in their natural position. And just noticing any sensation in that right shoulder. It might feel warm, might feel tingly. So just notice. Just letting the arms relax, let the body be at ease. And then when you're ready, we're going to roll onto our back, roll over to the right side, and just bring the right arm out to the right, bending the knees up towards the chest so that you feel stable here, supporting the head with a block or a pillow, and then just for a moment resting your left arm on your waist. So again, we're not in any rush to get to the next pose. We're simply enjoying the spaciousness, the stillness between each of the shapes. And then when you're ready, reaching that left arm out so that the left palm maybe sits on the right palm, maybe it just sits on the wrist, depending on how you're positioned. And again, keeping the torso pointing towards the right, the torso stable here. And then as you inhale, just reaching that left arm up towards the ceiling, bringing it down towards your left hip, all the way around to the front once more, and then reaching it overhead, keeping the left side of the waist towards the ceiling, and then bringing that left arm behind you, just starting to make those circles now with the left arm. And again, just notice, you know, is there a little sticky point here? How does it feel as you rotate this arm around? Keeping a really slow pace here. So giving yourself time to feel every piece of movement in the shoulder and the arm. So just slowly rotating the arm around. Just taking your time, being really yin about it as opposed to yang. And again, noticing that sensation, especially as you reach the arm overhead and to the back, it might feel a little sort of funky in there. So just observe, try not to judge. Just practice this loving acceptance of how your body is right now. So just making 2 or 3 more rotations with the arm, keeping that left waist towards the ceiling. And really letting go of any expectations of where you want this arm to go or how you want it to feel. So sometimes we come to the mat and we think, oh, I should be able to do this, or oh, I should be able to do that, and really it doesn't matter what we think we should do. It's really a matter of practicing acceptance of how we are rather than wanting it to be any different. Beautiful. So the next time the left palm comes towards the right palm, just pause for a second and then inhale that left arm towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, just let it drop behind you. So that left arm might be really high off the ground, depending on your shoulder joints. Some of us may get it a little closer. Again, it doesn't really matter where this left arm is, as long as you can feel a stretch around the armpit, the inner arm there, bicep, tricep, more the tricep really. And then a little bit of pressure in the shoulder joint. Remember, if it's too much, just maybe bring your arm forward a little rather than letting it drop all the way behind. And then just take a breath in through the nose and sigh out, allowing the arm to dangle here just for about 15, 20 more breaths. Remembering that if the pressure is too much, then just reach the arm a little more towards the ceiling so that there's not so much, gravity doesn't have such a pressure on the arm behind you. Notice if the teeth have clenched, just let them soften. Let the tongue soften down in the mouth. Just finding that sense of sort of ease in the body, even though there may be quite some pressure or strong sensation in the left shoulder. And then when you're ready, take a breath in through the nose. And a big old sigh out the mouth. And then again, really, really slowly, just start to bring that left arm down and rest it onto the left hip, left thigh, little bend in the elbow perhaps, just to allow the humerus and the shoulder joint to reacquaint themselves. Notice how that feels. Maybe quite a lot of movement of chi, of energy you can feel now through that left arm. And then you can keep that left arm where it is, or you can bring that left arm out so that it rests on the right. And just staying here for a few breaths. And taking this momentary pause before we get to the next shape. And then when you are ready, press that left hand into the ground. Just help yourself to sit tall. And then we'll come on to our hands and knees. So hips are over the knees. And then just start to slide your arms forward so that your maybe forearms and elbows come on down to the ground, and then bring your forehead onto the mat. Now here we're looking for a deliberate stretch along the inside of the arms and an opening or a sensation between the shoulder blades. So just make sure that your hips aren't back towards your heels like a child's pose. You want the hips over the knees. If this is too much pressure, you can bring your arms a little wider, or you can bend your right arm and rest your forehead on top. So do one arm at a time if having both arms forward is too much pressure. And some of you might like to bring your chin onto the mat, but just be mindful of your neck. You don't want to put too much pressure on the neck, so just resting the forehead on the mat, or again bending an arm, the right arm, and supporting the head that way if it feels better for you. So notice if the fingers, the toes have gotten a little grippy here. Just let them relax and soften. You might even like to turn your head to the side. That feels really lovely for me, but again, that's my body, that's my neck, so it might feel not delicious for you, so just choose a position that feels okay for you. So we're just about halfway. If you have the right arm bent, just extend that out and then switch to the left hand. So just switching sides if you're doing one arm at a time. And again, if this has become too much, if it's just too much pressure or you're really hanging on for dear life, then just slide onto your belly and rest. But if you're staying, we've got just under a minute to go. Letting the belly muscles soften, letting the heart space melt down towards the ground. And then staying as you are, but deepening your breath. Just preparing the body to move. And then really, really slowly bend the elbows and just really slowly make your way onto your belly. Resting one ear on the mat, bringing your arms down by your side and just letting the arms, the shoulders, the upper back, let that all soften and be at ease. Let your belly soften.
Let there be no sort of holding in the shoulders, just let them shrug forward. Just finding a really sort of restful, easy shape here on the mat. Just about 5 or so more breaths here. And then when you're ready, just hugging the knees in towards the chest. Having a little rock from side to side. Just noticing how that feels in the body. And then just rolling over to the side and just resting there for a moment. And then when you're ready, press into your top hand. Slowly come to sit. And extend your legs out. So we're going to come into, we call it caterpillar in Yin, where we round the upper back and just let the body move forward. So if your hamstrings are a little pingy, then it's nice just to pop a blanket underneath the backs of the knees. And then I like to grab my bolster and just pop it underneath the chest, so that allows the spine to round a little more, and then just let the arms sort of go where they will. Now you can keep your legs together, you can let your legs go a little wider. It'll just depend on your bone structure. So find a shape, use props or not. Some of you might just like to flop forward like that. But what we're looking for here, the function of the shape that we're taking now, is this rounding of the spine. So finding your version of this caterpillar pose. And remember, some of us it might be chin to chest, and that might be the extent of our forward fold and the spine rounding just up here, and that's okay. So just find what works for you. Find a shape that you can endure for the next few minutes. Notice if the teeth have clenched as you round forward, and just let that sense of tension in the jaw sort of melt away. So Anahata chakra, the heart center, sits at the center of the chest, so not the pump, although it obviously includes the pump, the physical heart, but our energetic heart sits at the middle of the sternum. And this is where we receive, where we give love. And this pose that we're in right now, this rounding of the upper back, just bring your awareness to the corresponding place at the back of the body where your heart center is. And you know, for many of us it's really easy for us to give love, but we can sometimes find it difficult to receive. So what we're encouraging here is this sense of opening at the back of the heart space, so that we can allow love to flow in, so that we can allow happiness, joy, all those wonderful high vibration emotions that we want in our lives. So bring your awareness to that space at the back of the body. And just imagine love just flowing in from the universe into the back space of the heart. Allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to receive the love that you deserve. Let the belly soften here. Let the arms
notice if there's any sense of frowning in the forehead, and just let that soften. Relax the skin behind the backs of the ears. Just about 10 or so more breaths here. Take a breath in through the nose and a sigh out the mouth. And then bring your hands onto the mat and push yourself upright using the arms more so than the muscles on the back of the body. And just let the head settle back over the shoulders. Just pause here for a couple of breaths. Feeling that energetic rebound. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, just come to lay down on your back and let the spine readjust to its natural shape here. So maybe a nice sigh out. This feels really lovely just to lay on your back. Again, you can have your arms out by your side or palms on the belly, whatever feels wonderful for you. So just about 10 or so more breaths here. And then when you're ready, just slowly hugging the right knee in towards the chest. Maybe just to give it a little wiggle from side to side. Just noticing how that feels in the hip. And then when you're ready, we're going to drop that right knee over to the left. And remember, if you need support, pop your bolster underneath the right knee, or maybe a block, or maybe you need to hug both knees up towards the chest because that feels better in your back. But finding a version of a twist here so that you feel a twist in your spine, but your lower back feels supported, and then bringing the arms out wide. Remember, you can turn your head to the right, you can gaze towards the ceiling, you can turn the head to the left, whatever feels most comfortable for you. If you need to roll a little more onto that left hip to facilitate that twist, then feel free to do that as well. And then once you've found your version of a twist, just settling in, noticing where you feel this in the body. So maybe this is all in the spine for you. Maybe you're feeling a nice sort of broad stretch across the glutes, the right thigh, the hamstring. So our job here is to practice being. So let the belly muscles soften and relax. Let the arms relax down. Just noticing whether the fingers are open or curled. Noticing whether the toes feel a little grippy, and again, just let them soften, relax. Just finding a sense of ease in the twist. Just another 5 or so breaths here. And then take a breath in through the nose, and a sigh at the mouth. And then really slowly, again, there's no rush, start to draw that right knee back to center. And just extend the legs out along the mat. Just letting the spine come back to its natural alignment after that beautiful twist. Another sigh out once you've found that rebound position. And just noticing how you feel. The further we progress through our yin practice, you might notice that there's a real sense of slowing down in the body. You know, when you first lay down, you might have quite sort of fast movements, maybe a bit jerky in the body. But the more you practice, the longer you stay in the shapes, the longer your practice, it just really encourages this sense of real slowness. So then, when you're ready, hugging the left knee in towards the chest. And again, just give it a little wiggle from side to side, noticing how that hip feels. And then when you're ready, dropping that left knee over to the right. And you might need to roll onto the right hip to make that happen. Maybe you'll take your bolster or your block perhaps over to the right so that your knee has support there. So again, just finding your version of this twist so that when you find your shape, you can let all of the muscles in the body relax. You can close down the eyes and practice being. Notice if there's any tension in the body, and on your next exhale, just sigh that out. Just about 10 or so more breaths here. Through the nose and a sigh out the mouth, and then really slowly draw that left knee back to center and spend a few moments here just moving, so releasing any tension in the lower back. So maybe coming into happy baby, or hugging the knees towards the chest, or maybe making circles with the knees one way and then the other. But just massaging into the lower back, releasing any sort of tension that may have accumulated there in those twists. And then when you're ready, come Shavasana. So if you have something to pop behind the backs of the knees that feels nice for your lower back, do that. Maybe you want to lay on your side or your belly. Cover yourself with a blanket if you feel a little cool. Eye pillow or scarf over the eyes, and arms by your side or palms on the belly. Just finding this final resting pose of stillness. Making space between the ears and the shoulders. Space in the lower back. Arms by your side or palms on the belly. Just finding a sense of comfort in your bones, your joints, the muscles, the ligaments. And then a breath in, and as you sigh out, imagine your whole body is sighing out. Allowing the body to just settle down and rest.
Break often, my dear, for it is a gift to remain fragile and vulnerable in this sometimes harsh but forever beautiful life. So keeping that stillness, bringing your attention to your breath, noticing your inhale, noticing your exhale. Slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and toes, just inviting some life back into the body. And then if it feels nice for you, reaching the arms overhead for a nice big stretch. Maybe a little bit more movement now as you bend the knees, bring the feet to the mat or the bolster. And just feeling down into your feet. Noticing that connection between you and Mother Earth. And then really slowly drawing the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a big cuddle. A moment of deep gratitude for our wonderful bodies that take us through our practice. And then when you're ready, just rolling to one side. Support your head with a pillow or your arm. Just laying here for a few moments in stillness. And then when you're ready, pressing into your top hand, finding a comfortable seat. Bring your palms to touch at your heart center, Anjali Mudra. Reclosing the eyes if they've opened on your way to your seat. And take a moment to recall your intention that you set at the beginning of your practice. Bring that intention back into your heart space. We'll seal our beautiful practice with a single Om. So take a breath in through the nose. From my heart to yours, bowing our heads, Namaste. Thank you so much everyone for joining us for our Heart-Centered Yin. Feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening and I will see you again soon.